my job easier. because when I present my food and the people are like, man, I want to lick the screen, I know what it is. Nobody's saying it about your food, but they saying it about my food, and I appreciate that because I have something to compare it to. You know what I mean?
The person that wants that type of food,
they're gonna buy it.
Is on that level,
for 10, 15
right? Like they want that type of food because they don't care about presentation. They don't care if they never tasted it. They just want something to eat.
So you can get $10 for that plate.
But I see some stuff on social media that is presentation-wise kind of crazy, but I'm gonna let y'all roll. All right, we got to start hitting some of the hard topics. You know what I'm saying? And again, this is not a attack on any other chefs of any other ethnicities, but again, like I said, there's a distinct disparity when it comes down to talk about black chefs and the black chef experience. And I want to talk about right now the plight of the black chef, because I think that the black chef is becoming extinct. You know what I'm saying? From a standpoint of being able to run restaurants, own restaurants, and so forth, so on. Or maybe I'm just blind and they're just morphing into something else. Aaron, you've been around. You've done a lot of things. I know personally from my experience that there's a systematic disenfranchisement of African Americans and people of color when it comes down to the restaurant business. I think it has a lot to do with the business side, but it has a lot to do with culture. I think the food industry is the most culturally influenced business there is, because at the end of the day, when everybody goes home, we all eat how we eat, based on how we grew up in our culture. So, good or bad, what is your experience in terms of being a black chef in America?
Wow, that's a good question. To me, my personal opinion, I love the position that I'm in. I love the fact that what I bring to the table as far as food and experience is unique in a certain way. But I think when it comes to organizations and corporations, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a whole different dynamic. So for me, like I try to take and understand. I try to take and understand that from the business standpoint, and then from my own personal standpoint.
Right.
So for me, like I understand, like it's a business you have to run. It's a corporation you have to run. You have things and quotas you have to meet. I get that, and I understand. Like me, I got to go home and feed my family. I got to take care of my family. So me being a black chef in this area, in this community, is important to me because I'm feeding my family off my talents.
Right.
Right. So for me, I got to continue to process that and grow with that and build that. You know what I mean?
I've always felt like in the business, if you are a black culinary, and I'm not always say chef because some I know a lot of people that never made it to the title of a chef, but they're great cooks and so forth and so on. I mean, I've always felt like when me coming through the business and I'm working for people who are not of African American descent, like they may know things that they don't want to show you, or they don't want to teach you.
That's always,
you know what I'm saying?
That's always the case.
I feel as if a lot of us, in terms of like African American chefs that I know, are more interested in the cooking aspect and making things delicious and making it look good and making the plate look nice and having the video of like they putting the sauce on the fried chicken and the chicken and waffles or whatever.
That's their thing, yeah.
But we fail at the business part of it because a lot of us fail to get to know the numbers. We want to cook.
Long experience has taught them how many filet mignon and how many prime ribs of beef with Yorkshire pudding to prepare. How many roast ducklings, roast lamb to get ready. Also, who will ask for antelope and buffalo steaks? Astoria in New York will use 6,000 pounds of prime beef and 2,400 Cornish rock hens. Every specialty with its own cook. From the time the buyer makes his purchase until the time it reaches your table, meat must be handled with particular care, seasoned and cooked just so.
He must have knowledge of food in order to plan menus and understand what constitutes efficient buying. He must have bookkeeping ability to know where he stands in his accounts.
But we don't...
Hold on. That's two totally different worlds.
Okay.
I learned that I think that was probably like, I learned it when I switched to front of the house to back of the house. That's when I learned that piece. So when I switched from front of the house back, it was more to me than knowing that, hey, listen, I overcooked your steak. Let me come out and say, hey, I overcooked your steak. I'm so sorry. Opposed to me, like, understanding, me walking out to that floor and understanding, like, no, I undercooked your steak. This is what it cost.
Right.
In my head, like, I'm sorry. And then that whole experience of going out, like, you got 100 seatings, and you going out to with your white coat on, explaining to why the steak didn't come out right. You know what I mean? Like, just think about that math. I'm like, if 5 tables come out, so let me go back here and understand. So once I understood that piece about the financial piece, is then when I said, listen, I got to dive into these numbers a little bit more.
Right.
And I was already granted the chef title, but I didn't understand the numbers. So I hear a lot of chefs say, listen, I'm a good chef, I can do this, but yeah, I don't know the numbers. Or I can't go and do inventory, or I can't do a food cost. When I discovered that about myself, I said, listen, I need to dig a little bit deeper and better understanding. So that was me and who I am as a person. So everybody's not granted that thing, and like, I love what I do.
So you caught on to that.
I'm passionate about that, but nobody's going to show you that. I don't care what, because it's moving so fast.
So my question is, from an African American chef standpoint, disenfranchised, all this shit, right? We come into a situation where we get a job at a restaurant, and we're cooking and we dope at it. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I want to go open up my own shit. Why is it that we don't take the time to learn the numbers so that we can do it?
But we never had the time.
Okay.
We never had the time to figure it out. Think about the culinary world as a chef. You're there early morning for early morning deliveries. You're doing your inventory. You're doing your ordering. You're making sure. Like, listen to me. Nobody's going to tell you, hey, listen, you need to know this.
Take a break and learn the numbers.
Nobody's going to tell you that.
No.
And they tell you all these systems and things you can do, and you can use this app, and you can, fast forward, but back then it was all Excel. But like, at the end of the day, like, I had to learn that. Like, no business owner is going to tell me, like, here's my numbers, sir. Even as a chef,
well, nobody's going to be like,
here's the numbers, and like, listen to me. Let's get a food course so we can understand. Like, understanding that plate.
Food course.
But I feel that they're not going to teach you that.
No, nobody's going to teach you that.
Because they don't want you to excel and know what they know.
But they should. But the thing about it is benefits them more.
Right.
The benefits
You're right.
more if I teach you that trait, and I teach you the understanding of how this can break down. I break down this chicken.
Right.
To paying $1.
For me, the deep dive is what I'm trying to get to is that I see a lot of black restaurants, African American restaurants per se, that don't survive because you get someone who somebody says, hey, Aaron, your fried chicken is crazy. You should own a restaurant. And then you find a way to get some money to open up a restaurant. I'm not saying you per se.
I get it.
And then all of a sudden, it's like 4 months in, they don't understand. Let me tell you something. I consulted for a restaurant. I'm not going to say no names.
In D.C.
I consulted for a restaurant. It was an African American establishment, and like nobody knew the numbers, and nobody wanted to know the numbers. Sometimes I feel like as a group of people, we sometimes think that we could just throw it out there and do it. And when it fails, it's like, okay, well, we could take that time and like understand and work in the kitchen. Listen, and work in a professional kitchen and doing the things that we need to do to get all that information, and then jump out the window. Too many times we jump out the window because we like, yo, my grandmother made chicken soup, and I know her recipe, and I'm gonna sell it, and then it failed, and it's like, okay, you didn't know the numbers.
Managing a restaurant takes more than just being good in some one phase of it. Take, for instance, Aunt Martha. All her friends told her she was the best cook they knew. She made the best pies, she made the best puddings, and her muffins, Well, anyway, Aunt Martha decided to go into the restaurant business. So, she rented a vacant store, the first one she found, got busy and cleaned it up, got new furniture and spent plenty of money decorating the place, and soon Aunt Martha was ready for business. But business wasn't ready for Aunt Martha. The fact that the store happened to be on a quiet side street hadn't occurred to her, and neither had the fact that she didn't know how to plan her meals economically. All in all, poor Aunt Martha wasn't making a go of it. And the worst of it was she didn't even know why. The fact was, Aunt Martha was no manager, even if she was the best cook in town. And the sad truth is that her experience is typical of 50% of the people who start their own restaurants. Think of it, that so many failures should occur all because too many Aunt Marthas rush in with no real preparation for the job.
Listen, I'm itching to say this. So listen, it comes down to this one thing. We have a perception of what a black cook or chef is, right?
Right.
So if I have a recipe for the amazing fried chicken, and I say, listen, let's open a restaurant together. Nobody knows how to get to that. Nobody knows how to get to that number, that magic number, whatever it is. Let's make money. Nobody knows how to get to that number. We're going to do it though. But their perception is, I look at you as money. You have the recipe, but I look at you as money.
Right.
We don't know how we're going to get there, so there's no conversation about how we're going to get there. What does the chicken cost? How are you going to do it? They look at it from the, I'm going to make money off of your chicken. So in turn, like, it's a perception.
Yeah, the exact situation.
That's never there. It's never talked about. It's never anything. Okay. Like, it takes somebody to understand, like, okay, listen, I want to do this chicken with you, bro. Like, let's figure this out. Like, how much it costs for you to get this chicken? If a guy can't tell me how much that chicken costs, and I want you making off of each piece, if I got to do the math for you, then I already know what I have in front of me.
Right.
And think about it. I'm black and I know this. So think about it. The other people who know this and look at you like, man, listen, I like your fried chicken recipe. Let's do it.
So
and you do that and bring them in. And like,
so
listen,
we need to be, in essence, we need to be more educated.
For sure.
In terms of what we're doing. I feel as if we originated this cuisine. We should be allowed to sell this cuisine and do the things that we want to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Other people take our passions and our creativity and they put the resources that they don't give us
behind it.
And put the resources behind it and they just jump out the window and do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
I
mean?
agree with you.
It's just like you always say, it's the record industry. It's the same thing in the record industry.
It's the same thing as the music industry.
You get a dope rapper.
It's the same thing.
But he don't know the numbers. He's not thinking about owning his own music, owning all his
rights,
rights and all that stuff. He just wants to be famous and be out there. And that's how in the chef world they treat us. Oh, they want to be known for their own recipe. All right, but they don't know the numbers. So let's get them out there and put the name to that fried chicken, but we're going to collect all the money on the numbers that he's going to bring us from this good recipe. It's the same shit.
It's the same shit,
right?
Yeah.
So in conclusion, I don't want to say conclusion, but we talked about slave trade. We talked about, bringing new food to America. We talked about how we got to this place that we are right now in terms of the black culinary experience and being chefs and so forth and so on. My question is this. What is the responsibility now of the African American chef in America to the culture? Is it, I want to be a chef first and I need to do all the things that I learned in school and so forth and so on? Do I need to be a black person first and do, soul food and comfort food or whatever? What is the responsibility for the black chef today to ensure that we have futures?
Bro, that's a huge question.
A loaded question.
So for me, like, I can only do what I can do with my circle, who I'm around. So my influence is the people around me. So I'm big on, like, if somebody's on Instagram and I see something, I don't care if it's cooking for Bay Plate. I don't care if it's anything. If I see you got good energy, you want to learn, I follow you, I see you, I say, listen, if you need something, let me know. I'm okay with dropping that seed and watering it and see where it goes down the road. You're either going to take it or you're not going to take it. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with that. So my responsibility as me, knowing the things that I know about numbers and knowing the things I know about business structures, knowing the things I know about business deals and contracts and all these things. Mm-hmm. So I take that and say, listen to me, if you need me, use me. Call me. Say, hey, text me, inbox me, whatever it takes, DM me, figure it out. But at the end of the day, I'm not always looking for money. At the end of the day, I'm not always. So we're always looking about how we're going to fatten our pockets. I don't always look for that. I believe in giving, because if you give, I believe in this one thing in particular. I think if I make you $1 million, right? I have $1 million, and I know my worth is, I'm worth $1 million. If I help you get $1 million, Did I help you get $1 million? What did I? When it's time for me to do something, how much do I have? I got $3 million.
3 million.